Okay. Let's get into it. All right. Let's get into the build crafting here. Oh, sorry, my screen's still in PC. Look at that. There we go. Okay. So I'll go over two of the popular builds for PvP. First, I'll go over popular PvE. So for PvE, obviously, so here's the thing: you're obviously going to want different things, PvE to PvP. Uh, that's just going to be the way it is. Um, on PvE, I'd focus a lot heavier on my resilience. I'd also focus heavier on intellect. PvP, I want my mobility and my recovery a lot faster. That's my personal play style. Play however you want, and that's fine. But taking the things I'm teaching you, you could just apply it valuing different things than what I value. So everything's going to apply. If I put 100% on mobility, you don't have to, but you can apply those same theories towards getting yourself to 100% intellect or 100% grenade or 100% this or that. That's what we're going to focus on. So for us here, let's start going through our armor. I've put on Orpheus rigs because they're good for pretty much everything from GMs, raids, whatever. If this is literally the only hunter build you have, you can do all PvE content, and that's why I picked this one. So let's go into Night Stalker first because I can go plus 10 mobility. I can go plus an intellect. Those are the two big things. These boots help out my super, so that's what I want. I want my super more often. Let's take a look in here. All right. Oh, shiitake mushrooms. Okay. So I have marksman dodge, reloads the weapons. That's pretty good. In PvE, though, I could go gambler's dodge. Because then I get my melee back if that's a thing. I go triple jump for PvE. It's just something that I struggle with strafe in PvE. There's too many cliffs that'll like jump up, smack the wall, and just slide down the face to my death. So, vortex grenades pretty standard. In here, essentially, these fragments are a massive bonus. I want to get as many fragments as possible. So the Trapper's Ambush, although it's great in PvP, you only get one slot in PvE. I feel like you're better off to go with the two and the two. I don't even really need to read what they are because I already know I'd rather get two slots than one. Um, Now in PvE, we can start focusing on certain things. So for this, I want my super and I want it as often as possible. So I'm gonna put the first one said plus intellect, so that's what I'm gonna go. Void ability, final blows cause targets to explode. Sure. Next is I'm looking for so final blows when surrounded by combatants grant super energy. I can go with that one. Um, Finishers grant invisibility. That gives me more recovery. I'll come back to that. So that gives me minus 10 intellect. Don't want it. That gives me plus intellect and that plus 10 mobility I was looking for. And this last one is, let's see. I mean, health regeneration's fantastic and it gives me resilience. So that's what I'm going to go for. I got plus 10 resilience. I got plus 10 mobility, plus 10 intellect. Final blows when surrounded by combatants grants me super energy, which will then in turn just keep flowing. And then I get void ability. Final blows cause targets to explode. Sorry, I'm dyslexic. If you couldn't already tell. So this is the only one where I'm like, do I really need that? So I could come in here and look for something else to really push into, what's this last one? Picking up an orb of power grants devour, lower recovery, no thanks. Um, so finisher final blows gives me plus 10 recovery. That might actually be worth it. Let's go with that. Just because, I mean, here's the thing. I think the abilities are fantastic, but the raw stats, I feel like, serve me on a greater purpose level. So let's see what we've got now. Now we have 100 mobility. We've got 40 resilience, so I've only got a 4% increase, which I'm not super excited. They start compounding really fast. You can go up to 40%. So I definitely want to spec into that. I've got 50 recovery, which is not bad. Discipline and strength, I'm not worried about. Intellect, I definitely am. So for here, I do have it so that when I dodge, I go invisible. So with this, I want to keep this so that I have, when my class ability energy is full, you is fully expended, you gain class ability energy. So if I use this one, it's a lower cost than some of the others. So if I do this, now I'm spending, if I want to double that down, now I'm spending 4 instead of 2. I think Void is another one where I'm spending 2 to basically do the same thing as 1. It's not as good, but I've been able to double it up. Then now I can go 5 on the intellect, and it still gives me 3 to do something else like a charge with light build, or if I want to build into defeating combats with a grenade, spawns an ability energy. So these are all things I can do. So it gives me a little bit that I can now push back and forth. So um, maybe I'll go with the grenade one. In here, now that I have 100 mobility, 100 intellect, now the other 5 of my stats I can push towards um, getting more resilience for PvE. This is where I'd want to pick what my guns are for the whatever activity you're doing, whether you need your bow or you need a linear fusion rifle or you need anything like that, because that's going to determine how you're going to stat the rest of your gear. I know already that I'm going to put 3 into each of these because I've got the stats that I want so far. And now I'll show you once I have built a little heavier into resilience, I went from a 4% debuff to 26% is what I've gained now. So I have 26% damage reduction, which is huge. If I wanted to as well, I could come in here and run the charge with light build here, protective light, which gives me a bonus. They nerfed it heavily, and that's why they brought in resilience to do what this does. But if you wanted that extra, I'm not specking into strength, so I don't care that I'm taking a damage or stat reduction in strength. So here I would just go ahead and put on, whatever ammo finder for my heavy. Here you're probably going to end up having to run your mods, which is, I think it's so annoying. I'd like there to be another option. I can't run Kickstart. I can't run any of my ARM mods because ARMs are the only thing that you can put the seasonal artifact mods into, and that's kind of annoying. I'd love it to be broken up between, arms, chest, legs. Um, Here, usually the seasonal, um, whatever this is, the armor mod that gives you resilience against the elements are a huge benefit. So arc, with it being arc this season, having an arc chest plate, being able to double up on arc is huge. Now you can't go too seasonal, you can't go too regular, but you can go 1 seasonal and 1 regular to double up. I know that even just down here, this is just psychosomatic. I do it because I've always done it, but I've been told, and from what I understand, you don't actually see a benefit from running 2. Now, they did say there's not a benefit in running two ammo finders or ammo scavengers, but like I did say, that you can use one seasonal and one regular, and that doubles up because that's not technically doubling up. But yeah, so then you just go through and you just add in, say you're going to run whatever you're going to run for your artifacts here. Then, because I've already started into a charge with light, I can either do just keep pushing how I'm getting elemental wells, and then I could always have it so that makes an elemental well. I could come into here and go elemental wells, you know, as well. Maybe I get my super more, so picking up an elemental well that matches your subclass significantly increases your intelligence, improving your super, which is fantastic. Um, Maybe in here, what I want to do is to run elemental wells that I create move across the ground towards us. Okay, so I throw my grenade, I get elemental wells. If I get elemental wells, then I get more intelligence, faster super. Then this way my wells will come to me so that I don't lose them. This one is breaking combatant shield with a matching weapon type, gives me an elemental well. And then in here, because I'm void, I should probably use one of these four void ones. So picking up a void elemental well grants you additional class ability energy. Fantastic. Increases lifespan of elemental wells you create. I don't actually need this one because we put on the seeking, so they'll come to me before they expend. Reaping wells after activating my class ability. Your next weapon final blow spawns a void elemental well. I'm going to be dodging nonstop, so I think this is a fantastic one to run. The other one is picking up a void elemental well, reduces the damage you take from combatants for a short period of time. That's fantastic as well, since I'm going wells. However, I'm not like I'm not 100% specking into just the getting a buff, but it's smart. So this way I'm getting my super faster. When I shoot my super, I'll get more, I'll make more. And so, as you see here, we've kind of created a very cohesive, well rounded play style so that everything top to bottom fits. There's a purpose, and now I know while I'm playing, I'm going to dodge, kill a few enemies, get the well coming to me, pick up the wells, shoot my super off, help my team make more wells, kill a few, dodge. So I've got a system that I'm running. It's more than just put on the game and shoot some aliens. I've got a system now that I've created where I'm taking that to the next level. You don't have to play this way. I really enjoy playing this way. I think if you play something like Diablo, I think it's like 100 times more, where it's like you have to press this button, then this button, then this button, then this button, and create this buff to do this debuff to create this buff, and then everything on the screen blows up. This is an easier, more accessible way of doing it. I just think this is a more mature way of understanding of how you create a PvE build. So let's go through now and we will create a PvP build. One of the most popular PvP builds right now is the Grafalcons. I'll apply that right now. I am using Destiny Item Manager. I feel like they do the best when it comes to being able to make builds, name the builds, compare your builds. It's very straightforward. It actually really helps with um, when you go to clean up your vault. If you've gone in and made builds, now you know what armor you should keep and what you shouldn't. Because I don't know if you're like me, but if it's a high stat or it's a high level, I end up dumping it in the vault. And then I end up mid-season where I've got all this armor in my vault where I know I saved it for a reason, but it's not, it doesn't mean that I'll remember it at the time when I'm looking at it going, I need a few more space in my vault. Is this what I should delete or isn't it? Um, so, from that perspective, let's go ahead and take a look. So my Grafalcons build, Obviously, I'm going to pick my weapons. So right now, it is the explosive personality, auto loading disruption break. Disruption break means that if I break their shield, which all guardians have a non-elemental shield, so this will break their shield. Now my primary kinetic, not stasis, kinetic weapons will do more damage. So now my Rat King does more damage. When I get a kill with Rat King, when I reload, I get a bump of health, and I also go invis. So that comes over to here. When I come out of invis, I do more damage. So I come out of vis with my rocket or my grenade launcher. I get a kill with my Rat King. I go invisible, and then I get another shot with this. And so this is kind of the trifecta that bounces around. There's other things you can do, but that's really one of the basis points for this whole build. So with that, I'm focusing on, instead of stylish executioner, I do want trapper's ambush because I want to be able to go invisible as much as possible. Um, Here I can go invisible for dodging. I'm using strafe jump. I bounce around which grenades I want based on the teams that I'm playing. Sometimes, it's void spike. Sometimes it's magnetic. I end up playing a lot with the scatter grenade actually because I just feel like it saves me. For here, I'm not too worried about intellect. I do want the mobility. I do want the recovery, and I think I want strength as well. So I believe there's two strength mods. So defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons. I'm not using void. So if there's another strength one, I swear there was. I guess not. All right, so then whatever it is, I'm using it. There we go. Okay, so now I come into here and I want arc. Actually, the reason why I want arc is because I can get, when I dodge, it reduces my melee cooldown. Um, so I could go about it that way. And then if I put on, let's see, does this armor all have? Yeah. Okay. So if I go mobility here, and I go one strength there. So now I've got 100, 90, 100, 100. Okay. If I come into here, I think there was a minus 10 one, but I can't remember that I was looking at for minus 10 intellect. What did it do? No. Okay. So, got 100 mobility, PvP, which means I get my dodge back. My base speed is increased. If I could run with 0 resilience on PvP, I would. And I know that that doesn't work for a lot of people, but this is what I mean is if we're talking about like a one bullet difference sometimes, if I start taking damage, I back off. Castle Content has a great video of how to survive in PvP, and really the basis of what he's saying is if you start taking damage, you're probably already dead. You just don't know it yet. And so many people stand down thinking, I'm going to get them. And they either trade where you both die or they lose from some technicality. They have a damage buff or, they slightly miss a shot or whatever. But if I run 100 resilience, now that means I can't be back in the battle as fast, or my class ability doesn't charge as quick as possible, so I can't use any part of my build. So as far as Hunter goes, I think it's a huge loss to run any part of resilience. I'd just rather value my life just that little bit more. Again, with a grain of salt, you can listen to my advice. You can go off whatever you'd like, But at the end of the day, a lot of the streamers will tell you this is what you got to do. This is a god roll. This is how you got to play. This is broken. And I know for myself, a lot of times I'll jump on, I'll start trying to use those builds, and it doesn't do any of what they say. It doesn't feel, like they're saying it feels. It doesn't. I think it comes down to it does you do get views for saying something's overpowered and this is amazing and everybody's got to try it, but I think the reality is that I don't think everybody plays at the same level, and so saying this gun is going to feel like cheating, you should use it, isn't fair to say for everybody. I think, play however you want to play. If you're playing with something you like, it'll be better. I remember a famous argument that I had with was somebody on my team where they said, "Oh, you need to be using this weapon. This weapon is the most overpowered weapon." And so I was saying like, but I can't actually get kills with that weapon. It doesn't functionally work with my play style. Yes, it's a good weapon. Yes, it's working for other people, but when I put it on, it doesn't work like that for me. And so now, one, I'm frustrated, so I'm not playing as well. Two, I don't. That's not my play style. So now I'm playing outside of my play style, so I'm not playing very well. And three, I'm not enjoying it, so I'm just going to end up, quitting anyways. If I play something that I want to play, maybe instead of a sniper, I'm going to put on my gnawing hunger and just shoot at all ranges because that's what I enjoy doing. I'm going to play at the top of my game, which we have to realize isn't the same as somebody else's game. So you get to play at the top of your game. You'll feel better about what you're doing. You'll enjoy yourself more, so you'll continue playing. And you won't be so upset if you get bested because you're playing your way. And that's what I want to push, play your way. What I'm saying here to do today is just find a way that it synergizes. So, with that, I'm going to be dodging to go invis. I'm going to be trying to get close to enemies. So, I've put Dynamo on so I get a little bump in my super. In here, I've got now where I can do double melee kickstart, but like I said, I don't really feel like it actually benefits. So I'm going to do one of each because I have very low grenade cooldown, as you can see. In here, I've got my plus 20 stats from Radiant Light. Over here, I've got my plus 20 stats from Powerful Friends. And then over here, every time I dodge, I get a bit of my melee back. With my melee, I'm going to be doing that ground pound where I get invisible and then can flip around like that. So as you can see here, I mean, here's the thing. I could put on this and I could, find a way so that I'm now bumping up my stats and other means and get quad hundreds, but it doesn't suit, what I mean? I could easily throw on another 10 intellect. But it, just because I have quad hundreds stats, 100 stats, doesn't mean that my character's any better. This is actually better for me because I have more ways of going invis, and this, gains damage after being invisible. So you can see the loop, and that's what you really want to create is that synergy, that loop, that feedback, so that you can elevate your game that way. Let's take a look at one more. One of the others that's doing really well right now is Capri's, I think. But one of the ones I like actually is the Artithis. Let's go ahead and apply that one. So, like I said, these are all just done in Destiny Item Manager, so I can just click one button and go from there. So, it doesn't look that great right now. There we go. It's still flipping around. So, this weighted knife bounces twice and deals bonus damage. I always make sure to actually open it up to take a look at the perf. To take a look at the stats inside of the thing, the perks. So weighted knife gains a second bounce. Rapid precision hits with your weapon grant weighted knife a significant damage bonus. And the ability to stun unshielded combatants. So I don't care about the combatants, But the significant damage bonus, that's fantastic. I didn't realize that at first, and so every time I was killed by the weighted knife, I was thinking, "There's no effing way you got a head. Like, there's no way you got a headshot. How are you sliding around a corner and getting this stupid headshot?" And it's because what they've done is they've very carefully played so that they're getting that damage bonus. And then when they do throw their knife, it doesn't matter where it hits you, you're going to die from it. So we now know that my main focus is my gunplay and I don't want to shoot the middle finger. My gunplay and my melee. So that's what I'm going to focus in: gunplay and melee. Okay. So strafe jump, it just feels like a smarter jump. Now I can do gambler's dodge, but you do have to be quite close. Just remember that. It's not just dodge and I get my melee. You have to be quite close. So you get 0 benefit. And not only that, your base cooldown is higher. So I'll stick with marksman dodge because I can dodge more often. I'll actually get my knife back very quickly from that. So I'm going to go with marksman dodge. I want the weighted knife. Swarm grenade's fine. Any other grenade's fine. A grenade that kills would be helpful. Scorch grenade is great. Trip mine can get a kill. The reason why is, I'll show you. I'm choosing this one because it gives you 3 stats, and this one because it gives you 2. If I go to this one, it only gives me 1, and I want to max them out. So this gives me, like I said, in PvE, go ahead, read all the descriptions, try and find a synergy in that. In PvP, like 90% of the actual things don't work, so I just go for raw stats. So I get plus 10 recovery. And defeating scorched targets grants melee. Okay, so I want to remember to scorch my target. So I get plus 10 intellect. That's pretty good. Plus 10 discipline. Fantastic. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. That could be good. But I'm wondering if there's something else in here that could be maybe a little better. There's plus 10 strength. Another plus 10 strength. So let's take a look. I've got 111 strength. Okay. Let's see where my stats lie. I could go down. I could go down here on my strength. The reason is that I'm over. As soon as you go over 100, they don't mean anything. So let's see if there's another one that I can hit up to give me any more stats, or maybe something that... So powered melee attacks against combatants, so that's not going to work. You got to look at the verbiage. Combatants means it doesn't work in PvP. I don't want negative stats. I've already used that one. I don't want a negative stat. So I can stick with that one. Let's just finish going through. So plus 10 discipline I've already got. Defeating a target with solar ignition grants grenade energy. I'm not really scorching, but I can apply more scorched attacks to targets. That might actually be good. I think that's probably the play here. Applying more scorched targets, scorched stacks to targets. My swarm grenades will help with that. Okay, so then in here, I've got 100 melee, 100 recovery, 100 strength again. Okay, so for here, I want it so that when I throw my melee, that I get melee energy back. That's why I'm using Kickstart. I've got Radiant Light for my plus 20 melee. I've got Powerful Friends for my plus 20 mobility. In here, now that's a Solar's for grenade, Arc is for melee, Void is for class ability, and then Stasis is also class ability. They just function different. I don't know why they're the same. It should be each of them. But I'm going to go again with the melee, as you see here. So I've got to change, though, this to this now. So now when I dodge, I get that back. Because I can spare it, if I dodge close to all enemies, or like targets, I can get all of my cooldowns going at the same time. So if I'm doing that over here as well, I could technically put this so I get a little bit more super energy. And then I'd go towards my weapon. And the weapon that I'm using is this one here, Jurassic Green. So final blows with this weapon grant bonus damage. That's beautiful. It's like Rampage. Just I don't think it's active as long. While this buff is active, grenade or melee kills greatly increase its damage. So that's fantastic for that weighted knife. I shoot the gun. I charge the knife. I can then throw the knife, get a kill, and now I've charged the gun, which will then charge the knife. See how there's that synergy? And that's what you're looking for. Something that creates synergy, something that goes beyond just the basic play of the game. And it's all right there in the game, just most people don't touch it. So there we have it. There's three, hunter builds that are fantastic. To finish it off, I just go through and add, stats towards my pulse rifle, so unflinching and aim assist, and maybe hot swapping it. But that's what it is. So at the crux, to go over it again, you want to take a look at the build. What do you hope to accomplish with it? What type of player are you? And what do you want to achieve? And by doing a few of those things, you take this game to that next level where, it's fun running around a strike, seeing everything explode in front of you with solar damage. It is fun seeing an entire room melt with volt shot from, your sidearm or whatever. So there are builds out there that make this game like 10 times better than what we're doing, by just throwing on whatever and running into an activity. So again, it's whatever type of player you are. So I am going to end it there for Hunter. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to switch over to Titan, I think, and I'll do a couple builds on there. So thanks. Call me Knox.